past fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful laws and past. I back up my actions. Fact, don't ask, grab reactions. Jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused. Call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we have talked about what is going on. Now, in the last part, Izuki got kissed by Shinsho, and we learned a little bit more about his own past, how he lost his organic right arm, and what he does fear. Now, with that being said, we do pick up about 2 to 3 days later, and Izuki is actually reading through a little bit of files and trying to understand what is going on. Now, she is trying to get it, really. The best way she can describe this is they're missing someone, or they're missing quite a few people. They've done a head count, and all of their people are here except for a certain team. A couple days ago, they sent those people off, and they gave them a mission briefing. So something has gone wrong. Now, they actually do try and get into contact with them. However, it is to no avail. And Izuki, she actually does begin to talk with some people. And they do come to somewhat of an agreement. They need to find their people. It's almost unanimous. And their tech support people do actually gather weapons and get things preset. Izuki getting her own weapons from her personal quarters and actually beginning to triangulate the signal of their ship or their aircraft. Now, they do find it, or at least the transmitter. It is still transmitting a location. Izuki and them following it. Now, a couple hours later, they do arrive, and we currently do have a forest. It does look somewhat calm, and somewhat okay. And they eventually do touch down, and begin to follow the lead. Them getting bikes out of their aircraft, and driving them down a ramp. Now, with that, they do begin to follow the signal. And they eventually do come on it. They eventually do find the aircraft in pieces, torn apart and in shambles. Now, with that, they do try and salvage anything they can from the aircraft. And they actually turn off the transmitter. There is nobody here. However, the aircraft, it couldn't have just landed here. Looking up in the sky, there's too many trees. However, whenever you avert your attention to your left or to your right, you can see it. Broken tree branches coming all along the way down, meaning that the aircraft was either shot down or something else happened. Malfunctions, anything could have been possible. Now, they do actually turn on their vehicles and head in that direction, as they eventually do find a base. Now, the best way to say is that it's not really a base, it's more or less a giant hole in the ground. Now, Izuki, she actually does look around. This place seems to be barren. What is this? I don't know. but it's kinda big, don't you think? Another person actually speaking up, talking about how this might be the biggest hole in the ground they've ever seen. Now, this thing I want to say is possibly around. I'd say it's like a giant swimming pool, so probably about 100 feet around, or 100 feet across, and 100 feet around, like in a giant circle. Now, with that, Izuki, she actually does grab her wrist gauntlets and put it on, as she does actually go to jump down. As soon as she does, she lets out her grappling hook and begins to swing, trying to get down to the lower levels and understand what's happened here. Now, this place looks like it was burned and destroyed. There was a firefight here. Was this their people? Now, they actually do begin to shift over to different comm systems and pinpoint where they could be. This has got to be their top priority. And multiple other people on teams do begin to split up, trying to understand where their people are and switching to different comm links. Now, eventually, throughout enough searching and going through multiple different levels, they are able to find something. Izuki, she does actually somewhat find an old weapon, and she does pick it up. Looking at it and inspecting it, it looks partially crushed and somewhat burned. This is melted. Her trying to pull back the firing pin. However, it's jammed and stuck. Her actually having to force it open, and basically ripping that piece out of the gun. This doesn't look normal. This has to be a quirk. Insane. Now, with that, eventually they do begin to hear some commotion. And this is whenever Izuki she actually just make her way down to more levels. I'd say this is a 100 level building. And eventually, after going down a few more levels, so let's say about 70, they're almost at the bottom. And Izuki, she does actually find a giant metal door. And it's completely busted open and ripped out. Her taking a step forwards, as Shinsho and Monoma are both there. Looking at this, Shinsho actually bringing his hand up and cocking it backwards, as he punches the giant metal wall, as the loud thump does ring out. As soon as he does actually pull back his wall, or pull back his hand, the wall is somewhat dented, just a little bit. You can at least see small visible damage. And Yuzukishi actually does turn around and somewhat yell at him. That was too loud. Please, I don't think anyone's here. Besides, look at this. Him running his hand across it, saying that it barely did anything. Plus, look at those. Him pointing up towards the top. Miyazuki does look at it. Is that a bite mark? Strange. Her going to actually reach up and try and grab them. However, she does actually have to use her grappling hook and somewhat move up. Running her hand on the wall, she does find that these are jagged. No tool could have done this. And then she does actually walk into the door and turn around, looking to see a backwards K. Kind of confused. What could have done this? Wait. Her trying to piece it all together. Now, this is whenever something finally does click. And it keeps clicking. until a loud boom can be heard. Now, the very moment that does happen, Izuki, after hearing the explosion, she can hear footsteps. And they're getting louder and louder. And they are also coming towards her. As she actually does look up and see what's going on. Something huge and massive is running towards her. And she runs straight back through the door and telling everyone to get out of the way and move. As she uses her grappling hook and grabs onto somebody before going upwards. And everyone else does just simply leap out of the way or use grappling hooks to move. Now, as soon as that does actually happen, something comes busting through the giant metal wall. Or at least through the giant hole. As you can clearly see that it's something humanoid and large. Now, with that, it does seem to have something covering its entire body. And it looks to be in a straitjacket. What the hell is that thing? I don't know. But whatever it is, it's dangerous. Now, with that, everyone is beginning to piece it together. The backwards K, this facility. This must be a Weapon X base. Now, Izuki actually does order her people to stand down for a second. And that they need to make sure that that thing is not hostile. If it is, then they need to get out of here fast. Now, this is whenever Izuki, she actually does somewhat move around, or walk around the pathway, and try to get this thing to look directly at her, trying to call out and get some attention. However, this thing just keeps looking down and struggling away at its restraints. And it does seem to be very dangerous. Now, Izuki, she is not getting any attention, as she brings up her gauntlets and fires something at the ground. A grappling hook. As it simply just lands directly by this thing's foot. This thing stares at it for a second, before going to look up, seeing Izuki standing there with the wire running out of her wrist. As it simply does just look at her for a second. And she does actually try to talk to it. Now, she begins to try and ask questions. Who are they? What happened to them? Why are they like this? Now, as soon as she does actually try to ask another question, this large beast simply just steps down onto the rope, Izuki quickly ejecting the line, and pulling her wrist backwards. The rope going limp, or at least her being able to eject the rope from her gauntlet as soon as it was stepped on. However, it does actually just whip forwards towards the creature, and actually does smack it where its face should be. However, it is heavily covered in goggles. Now, the beast begins to simply just try and run around, and it simply just leaps straight at Izuki, who, using her other gauntlet, does actually get out of the way. The creature smashing straight through the metal floor, and beginning to just simply go on a bit of a rampage. Shinsho asking over comms exactly what they're going to do now. Izuki unholstering her weapons and saying that they tried talking, now it's time to shoot. As everyone begins to open fire. And Shinsho, he immediately brings out his big gun. And he begins to charge it up. Now, as soon as that does actually happen, the beast is simply just getting more pissed off. It's getting angrier. And every time they're firing away at it, it does begin to show the suit is being hurt and destroyed. And they do notice something. With how far below ground they are, it's pretty cold down here. However, it's suddenly just getting warmer. A whole lot warmer. Now, they take notice to this. And at this point, Shinsho does fire off his weapon, hitting the beast as it was charging at him, sending it flying away and smashing through multiple walls. As Shinsho tells them that they need to all get the hell out of here, as alarms begin to go off in the base, and it shows that they've triggered something. Now, Izuki, she actually does agree, and they tell their person in the bird to come by. Get them the hell out of here now. Now, they actually do bring the plane up into the air and begin to fly over. As soon as they're directly overhead, they tell them that they can't find a good landing spot, and that they can't get too close. As the monster, it got back up onto its feet, and its arms are now completely unbound. As it comes running in, and you are able to see it. Their hands, they're red, and they're virtually pouring with flames as they keep coming in. Now, after they do see that, the creature just simply brings up his hands, or its hands, and begins to blast off flames. Izuki jumping out of the way, bringing her gun up and firing it directly at the forehead, hitting the creature dead set in between the eyes, and breaking the goggles, as it just begins to tear away at the rest of its suit. And you actually do see it. Everyone is retreating and trying to get away, and Shinsho is telling Izuki to get the hell up here now, as she actually is looking around. Shit. Okay. I'll be right there. But hang on, I might have an idea to distract it. Her looking to her right and to her left. There's a whole lot of ammo boxes right there. There's a whole lot of shells right there. Shit. Her looking behind her and seeing a tank. Okay, that might work. Now, she tries to get its attention, firing away at it as it begins to charge towards her. And Izuki, she is actually able to get it to run at her, before bringing up her whip, or her grappling hook, and firing it directly at one of the tank shells, ripping it as hard as she can to her right and smashing the creature along the head. Before bringing up her gun, she fires directly at the shell, and she's knocked back from the explosion. Now, that explosion does actually set off the other shells all around her. And Izuki, she actually is knocked onto her back, and she is behind the tank, as she is actually looking up, wondering if that could have done the trick. There's no way they could have survived that. However, Izuki is wrong, and she actually does go to get onto her feet. However, the tank that she does see on her right is beginning to move, not forwards or backwards, but up into the air, as somebody is lifting it up high over their head. Izuki, she does see them. A woman in an outfit, big, red, angry, covered in flames. She seems to be unstoppable. And Izuki, she simply just does bring up her taser rounds and fire them all at once, off directly into this target, hitting dead center, directly at the top, well, directly underneath your throat, where your collarbone does start. Now, the person doesn't really even do anything. If anything, they just start screaming out in anger. Izuki, she immediately just does throw up her hand and go to get away, grappling hook up to the next floor, as she actually does grab onto a railing and swing herself up higher, beginning to just get higher and higher, as this creature threw the tank where she was, and is beginning to try and give chase to her. Now, eventually she does actually hook onto the bird, or the plane, that is hovering in the air, and she's actually reeling in, and Shinsho, he's telling her to hurry the hell up, as this giant target is flying directly at them, leaping off of the ground and trying to get directly at them. Izuki climbing aboard and turning around, watching as Shinsho immediately just brings up the gun and fires it off. Now, he didn't charge the blast. However, it was enough to smash the person directly in the gut and center mass in the abdomen. And they actually did at least get hit backwards, all the momentum they had moving forwards being nullified. The thing just reaching out and trying to grab away at them, screaming as it goes falling down back into the 100 floor deep facility. Now, Izuki just asks simply, "What the hell was that?" And Shinsho and Monma do someone look at each other, thinking for a second. That was a Weapon X project, unlike anything they have ever seen. So, what exactly does that mean? Shit. Now, the pilot begins to fly away, before their little, well, angry girl can come after them. Now, with that, they get high up into the air, and fly at full speed in the opposite direction, like a bat out of hell. Now, with all that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I will catch you guys in the next part.